All right, so thanks so much for joining, everyone. I've realised I've not changed my name, so my name is not Pagoda Projects, although I do work for Pagoda. My name is Natalie Hotchkiss. I'm a programme coordinator here at Pagoda. In particular, I'm coordinating this current programme, our Sustainable Global Experience, which I'm super excited to talk to you guys all about today. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, so that's the purpose of this call today, so you can ask questions. But first, I'm just going to go through some slides going over kind of the basics of the programme to bring you all up to speed. But if you do have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat function or the Q&A function. If you're not comfortable sharing your name with your question, if you pop in the Q&A bit, you can be anonymous as well if you prefer. So I'll just get started. All right, so hopefully you know already that our Sustainable Global Experience programme is basically we're trying to help students become more carbon conscious, send them abroad, and also help them gain some key skills. So it includes a 5-night field trip to Amsterdam, and we'll be visiting different companies while we're out there, and we'll also be working on a group project while we're out there, which I'll talk about a bit more in a wee moment. I have been carefully planning every aspect of the trip so that every single aspect of it will be offset by at least 150%, making this a carbon negative trip. So not only will everything be offset, but all aspects are considered in terms of how much carbon they emit. So for example, when we're in Amsterdam, we'll be traveling exclusively by public transport, as that is the most sustainable way to travel, and we'll be staying in hostels which have great sustainability ethos or policies, which the hostel that you will be staying at does have, which is fantastic. Moving on. So you might have seen this slide before. This again just gives it's a lot of text, but it basically just gives a nice overview of what's included. So as I mentioned, as this programme is all about sustainability, you will finish this programme being more aware about sustainability issues. And for example, you might have heard of the carbon literacy training that is included. On top of that, you'll also be working in groups on an inquiry-based learning project that you'll learn more about once you're in country. So you'll be split up into smaller groups and you'll work on this project throughout the week on top of the rest of the activities that we'll be doing. And the dates, if you don't know, are the 19th to the 24th of June. I imagine you do know, as you've all signed your contracts stating that those are the dates. And that is Sunday to Friday. This includes Eurostar travel, so that's travel from London to Amsterdam. On top of that, your coach travel is included. So that is from campus at CMet to London. I'll talk a little bit more about travel, how that's going to work in the next few slides. The exact times have yet to be confirmed, but it will be departing CMet on the Sunday and departing Amsterdam on the Friday. So that's all included. You don't have to book that, that's already booked for you. Your accommodation is included. Your welcome and farewell meals are included, and breakfast is also included as part of this programme. Tours, masterclasses, and networking with local businesses as well. Your carbon literacy training and qualification. However, the qualification, you will have to do some work for that qualification. So it's not like you have this programme and you will automatically be given the qualification. You will need to put in some work for it, but we will give you the training for that. And of course, full on-site support from Pagoda. Well, I will not be on the trip with you, my colleagues will be, so they will be there to support you throughout. Okay, so why Amsterdam? If you're not aware, but Amsterdam is doing an absolutely fantastic job and definitely leading the way in terms of being sustainable, a sustainable city within Europe. It is the green frontrunner in Europe, and there's a real feeling within the city between locals, businesses, organizations, just to help Amsterdam achieve this goal of becoming carbon free. You can see some energy policy targets there that I've popped. So for example, by 2040, the city no longer wants to use natural gas. And by 2050, they want to be a completely climate neutral city and completely adaptable, and wants to be a circular city, which we'll learn a bit more about once you're in Amsterdam. So this is the rough itinerary, again, stressing the rough. So this will hopefully give you a better idea of what we'll kind of be up to. You'll get more information on the specifics before you leave. You'll be passed on a digital welcome pack, which will kind of break down every aspect of the programme so you know what to expect and what we'll be doing. So Sunday will mostly be a travel day. So as I mentioned, you'll be traveling from Cardiff to London, London to Amsterdam. And then once you arrive, settled in, dropped off our stuff at the hostel, you'll go out and have a big group meal. So you can kind of get to know each other if you already didn't get to know each other on the bus and the train on the way there. You'll also be joined by students from another university as well. So it'll be a nice opportunity to meet them also. On the Monday morning, we'll kind of get everything set up, go over the itinerary for the week and split you up into groups for the group projects, followed by a scavenger hunt, which is a great way to kind of learn the city or get to know the city and we sort of have a nice icebreaker with the rest of the students as well. And you'll kind of see things about tourism masterclasses. This might change in terms of when it will happen, but it will happen. It just, for example, the Q&A talk might happen on the Thursday instead, and things might move around up until the date. But that's roughly to give you a nice overview of what you'll be up to when you're there. So this kind of covers morning and afternoons. You will have evenings free to do what you want. Of course, we're not going to make you stay in the hostel. So if there's something that you really want to do in Amsterdam while you're there, you're more than welcome to do that in the evening. Just make sure that you're ready to go for the activities the next day. Okay, so this is a really important slide. And if you're going to listen to any part of this presentation, please do make sure that you're taking in everything from this slide. So there are essential entry requirements to enter the Netherlands. There are 4 main things that you need to have or be aware of, and you must be fully vaccinated. Now, what does that really mean now? So for the Netherlands, to be considered fully vaccinated, you must have either your booster jab, so 2 vaccinations plus a booster, or if you have only received your second COVID vaccination, you must have not received it 2 weeks before entry and no more than 270 days before. Now, I've worked out the exact dates that this is, depending on your program, which is in the PDF that has been sent to you, and it's titled Essential Entry Requirements. So I've popped them down here as well. So you must not have received your second vaccination earlier than the 22nd of September 2021 and no later than the 5th of June 2022. So that's 2 weeks before your departure. So that's quite difficult to get your head around to understand. So I really recommend that you look at the PDF that has been sent to you all. If you have not received this PDF for whatever reason, please do get in touch with us. We can send it to you, no bother at all. But like I said, that PDF will break down what exactly that means by fully vaccinated, which vaccinations are counted or are seen as eligible vaccinations in the Netherlands. So hopefully that will be able to explain it better than I am vocally. So on top of being fully vaccinated, you must fill in a vaccine declaration. This is also in that PDF I was talking about. Passport expiry date. So in order to travel on your passport, you must still have at least 3 months left on your passport. So that must mean that your passport must not expire before what's the date I've got down? The 16th of September. So if your passport expires before the 16th of September this year, then you will not be able to travel. So you must have a new passport by that time. So please make sure you check your passport expiry dates. Again, this is also in that PDF I shared as well. So please make sure that you're checking that PDF. And for those of you who do not have UK or EU passports, you must have a Schengen visa. We will assist you in this process. It can be quite complicated. So again, that's why we're helping you out. We are setting up a landing page to direct you guys to who this applies to kind of talk about the next stages and how we'll help you with that process. So if this applies to you, we will be in touch with the next steps. If you have any concerns or anything that you're worried about, please do get in touch. So yes, very important slide, but the takeaway is please do check that PDF that was sent in one of the emails. And if you don't have that PDF, please get in touch. Okay, so fun stuff, accommodation. So you guys will be staying at Clink Nerd Youth Hostel. And in terms of how it will work in the hostel, it'll be 4 to 6 of you per room in a single sex room. There are ensuite bathrooms. Towels are available to hire. So you can either choose to hire one while you're there or bring your own if you prefer. There are common areas, ping pong tables. You can kind of see some cool pictures there, what they've got. It's a really nice vibe at the hostel. And there's also a shared kitchen available if you prefer to cook there instead of eating out every night as well. It's situated in the sort of hipster area of Amsterdam, which is the north. It's accessible via a very short ferry, which is open 24/7 and is free as well. So it's a super short walk as well from the station that we'll be arriving in Amsterdam. So if you want to have a little nosy at the website, see what it's like, that's the name there, Klinknerd Youth Hostel. But yeah, hopefully you can start planning what you might like to do in the nearby vicinity. Okay, in terms of travel, so as I mentioned, travel is included. That is travel from Cardiff to Amsterdam and Amsterdam back to Cardiff. You'll be traveling out on the Sunday the 19th. There'll be a coach transfer, and that will be approximately 3 to 4 hours, depending on the traffic and how many stops. If you are not going to be based in Cardiff, and if you want to make your way to London yourself, or if you will already be based in London at that time, that's absolutely fine. Just let us know in advance so we know not to look for you when we're counting heads about who's getting on the bus. And for the Eurostar, that will be approximately 5 to 6 hours from London to Amsterdam. And again, that has all been booked in advance. You don't need to book this at all. It's already sorted. And pretty much the exact same for the way back. So you'll get the Eurostar from Amsterdam to London and a coach transfer from London to campus. And the exact times are to be confirmed. So do keep an eye out on your emails from Pagoda when we announce those exact times. Okay, so what to bring? You'll see I've put there, we're going to Amsterdam in June, not Mallorca in August. So that means, don't expect bikini weather, dress sensibly, it's a city, and it's going to be June, not August. So I've done a quick research, and Amsterdam weather in June is expected highs of 19, average being 15. For me, that's quite warm. So I will be dressed based on what I know I can handle, but that for you might be quite cold. So bear that in mind. I would definitely recommend looking up the week before you depart, what the temperature is going to be like or what the weather is going to be like the week after, so you can pack accordingly. But definitely bring clothes that you feel comfortable in. Definitely bring comfy shoes. As I mentioned, there'll be a lot of walking, a lot of going by public transport. So you'll want to wear practical shoes. There are cobbled streets in Amsterdam as well. So please bear that in mind. And as there are sort of business professional elements to it, I'd encourage you all to bring at least one outfit that could be classed as smart casual. I hate that term just because it's super, like, what does that even mean? But just something that looks a little bit more professional than just casual clothes, whether that's just bringing a blazer to chuck on top or a nice sort of light shirt, something like that. In terms of tech, please bring your smartphone and a laptop if you have one. If you don't have one, that's fine. Do let us know in advance. This is more so when we're talking about the group projects. You'll need to have access to a smartphone and or a laptop. Ideally, there'll be one person per group who will have a laptop. So again, if you don't have a laptop, it shouldn't be a massive deal. There will be someone else in your group who does have one. And in terms of budgeting, check withdrawal charges with your bank. You may be charged every time you withdraw. So for example, you might prefer to take out a bulk amount per day or for the week while you're there and just have that charge one time, as opposed to taking out or being charged for every single withdrawal, if that makes sense. And Amsterdam is the capital city, so expect capital city prices. There's lots of information online about average prices of meals. But again, it just depends on what you want to do in your free time. You will have those evenings to do what you want to do. If you want to go out and party, like think how much that will cost in Amsterdam, or if you just want to have a quiet time, cook your own food at the hostel and sort of do some walking, then that will obviously be much cheaper. So bear in mind, think about what you want to do and what your budget is, and plan accordingly based on that. Okay, so support. We will have staff there 24/7 while you're there. So you can get in touch with us at any time for any emergencies. We'll be prepared for anything. We'll also have a Pagoda online platform and app at the time, which we'll be able to use to message each other and get in touch. But of course, there will be emergency contact information should you need it. Fingers crossed not. If you're worried about anything that is on place while you're in program, in country rather, or if you're worried before going, do get in touch with us. Don't just sit there worried. You can get in touch with us at Pagoda or Rowena as well at Cardiff Met. It's completely up to you, but please don't just sit there and stress by yourself. Please do get in touch. That's why we're there. Okay, so carbon literacy. So I've got a definition of carbon literacy there for those of you who have never heard of carbon literacy before. So this is the awareness of carbon dioxide costs and impacts of everyday activities and the ability and motivation to reduce emissions on an individual, community and organisational basis. So this is a qualification which is accredited by Manchester-based Carbon Literacy Project. In order to receive the certificate, you will need to go through training. Please note that this training will happen outside of the 5-day trip. So I understand that people will have summer plans and things to do, so we're organising multiple sessions for people to choose from across the summer. The first session will take place in 1 week in August, and you can choose one session from that 1 week. And the second session will take place in August, 1 week in August, and you would choose one day from that week in August. So as I've noted there, you'll need to complete 2 pre-training courses, which you can kind of do in your own time. It's quite flexible, and that's online as well. You'll have to attend 2 online training sessions, which will take about 3 to 4 hours with breaks. You will have to attend both of them in order to get the qualification. And finally, you must complete a pledge. So essentially in this pledge, you have to write out what your carbon pledge is, how you're going to commit yourself to reducing your greenhouse gas emission as an individual, and also a group pledge as well. So more information, I'll talk about that a bit more when it comes to the time, but something to bear in mind that the carbon literacy training itself will take place outside of the 5 days, but hopefully it shouldn't take too much. So if you've got summer plans, it can be something that you can work around those plans. Okay, so next steps. Pay your invoices if you haven't already. There has been some confusion about this. All of you will have received 3 invoices. One of them is your £50 refundable deposit. This will be refunded back to you after the programme is complete. I think most of you have paid that one though. The 150 programme fee, which is a contribution from yourself, which was due on April 3rd, a few days ago. So if you haven't paid this already, please do make sure that you transfer this as soon as possible. If you're having some issues, if you're having some financial difficulties, or if you're not going to get paid for another few days, that's absolutely fine. Just please do let us know so we have an idea of what's going on. We can always make exceptions just as long as you stay in communication with us and let us know what's going on. And finally, there is another additional £700 that will be paid by the university. What will happen is the university will transfer this to you, and then you will have to pay this to us by May 30th. So again, this is not something that you have to cover. This is covered by the university. However, you do have to be the middleman and do the transfer essentially. So that's why you've got 3 invoices there. Apologies for any confusion with that. So hopefully that's cleared up a bit. And if you are still confused or unsure, get in touch with Vicky or our payments team, who you should have heard from already. Make sure you have all the correct documents. So what I was talking about earlier in terms of entry requirements. So make sure that you've got your vaccination certificates ready to go, your vaccine declaration. If you need a visa, we're going to make sure that that's sorted, and make sure that your passport is got the right expiry date or won't expire within the next 3 months. And keep an eye on emails for further updates from Pagoda. Cannot stress this enough. Please keep an eye on your emails. I know that it's coming up to a really busy time. It's coming up to exam season, and we totally appreciate that you'll have more important things to think about, but please do keep an eye on your emails every now and then. Check your junk or spam, as they do tend to go there sometimes as well. And please make sure you're reading the emails as carefully as possible so you don't miss any details. But that is a quick overview of the programme. If you have any questions, please, this is the time to ask. However, if you can't think of any, or if you think of one in an hour's time, hopefully you know how to get in touch with us. You'll either be in touch with my colleagues, Catherine, Becca, or Raymond, or Vicky. We're all available to answer questions, as is Rowena. But yes, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A or the chat. Neha, absolutely. So I'm recording this right now, and I will share this recording afterwards, and can definitely send the PowerPoint as well, whichever you prefer, or both. I'll just send both. So I'm going to stop sharing now and stop recording.